I'm Anthony Demangone, NAFCU's Director of Regulatory Compliance and its Senior Compliance Counsel. I'm here today on behalf of the National Association of Federal Credit Unions. In my role, I represent NAFCU before the Financial Services Sector Coordinating Council. This is an organization that champions the protection of America's financial critical infrastructure. I'm a member of Physics Infectious Disease Forum, and I was a member of the 2007 Financial Services Pandemic Exercise Control Team, which helped manage a financial services industry-wide tabletop exercise on pandemic preparations. While the subject of today's hearing focuses on a very unpleasant topic, the unsettling specter of an influenza pandemic, I want to commend the leadership of the Small Business Committee for holding this hearing to address readiness and preparation within America's small businesses. NAFCU has been working with financial regulators on this important issue, and we have educated our member credit unions to help them prepare for a pandemic. I want to recognize the work of the Treasury Department and the FISC, of which NAFCU is a member, for its diligence in helping financial institutions identify and address the complex issues surrounding pandemic business continuity planning. Credit unions have been preparing for a pandemic for more than 3 years. The National Credit Union Administration provided important guidance to credit unions in the first quarter of 2006 to increase awareness concerning the potential threat of a pandemic. More recently, financial regulators have been providing guidance concerning the current H1N1 pandemic. The NCUA reiterated key elements for credit unions in a letter addressed to them just this past June. In its letter, NCUA directed federally insured credit unions to review their disaster preparedness response plans to ensure that their pandemic plan is appropriate, and provided a series of issues credit unions must consider in their pandemic planning. Credit unions have listened to this guidance and have created plans that address the following: pandemic-related communications to employees, members, and their communities, policies to implement social distancing, proper hygiene, and other preventative measures, cross-training of appropriate staff to maintain operations during a pandemic, and the review of operations and facility management to ensure a proper response to pandemics. Now, many credit unions have formally tested their pandemic plan in a national tabletop exercise. The Treasury Department, in conjunction with the FISC and others, sponsored an industry-wide pandemic flu exercise in 2007. The results demonstrated that even businesses that had pandemic plans in place found a global flu outbreak posed complex issues in areas where more preparation was needed. While financial institutions have been preparing, some questions remain unanswered. The following issues, if clarified by Congress and the federal government, would help America's credit unions better prepare for future pandemics, and handle this one right now. First, the financial services sector needs accurate and timely information about any developments concerning the current pandemic and what steps that federal, state, and local governments are taking in response. In addition, information on important infrastructure is vital. For example, will mail service, public transportation, and telecommunications infrastructure be available for credit unions and their employees? Second, with credit unions facing increased levels of absenteeism during a pandemic, it may be difficult for them to comply with certain regulatory requirements. Staff trained to comply with the Bank Secrecy Act or that works with the SBA may be homesick for long periods of time. If we have this flexibility plan in place beforehand, financial regulators will not have to answer repeated questions during a pandemic, especially when the regulators themselves may have high absenteeism. Third, many credit unions continue to ask questions concerning who will be responsible in a given area for pandemic-related issues. Will the federal, state, or local governments decide if a quarantine or a closing of a business is necessary, or will this be a private decision made by each business one at a time? And the flip side is the question of who will give the all's clear signal once a pandemic has passed. Fourth, the impact of Hurricane Katrina demonstrated the need to have cash available to meet liquidity needs. The current economic crisis has demonstrated the importance of liquidity for financial institutions. Should the current pandemic develop more deeply into a healthcare crisis, it will surely strain the liquidity and put more challenges on financial institutions already facing a tough environment. Thank you for the opportunity to provide our views on this timely topic. Again, I commend the Small Business Committee for its commitment to address concerns relating to pandemics, and I'll be pleased to respond to any questions that the committee members may have.